Despite the Federal Reserve and the government's suggestion that inflation continues to decline, you can look just when you go to the store and see it for yourself that prices don't go down. Inflation numbers they give you, yeah, those might decline, but when we actually see the way that things progress, it's not, beneficial to you and I. And I'm going to show you some of that. I'll show you the inflation, show you the economy, how these things are really taking hold on people and their finances, their disposable income, and so on. I want to bring it real quick to you. This is talking about Canada from a supermarket chain. We are seeing some costs stabilize and even begin to reverse in a few areas, and we are actively lowering prices in key categories. Not true, but anyway. However, we still have over 1,000 supplier requests on our desks for significant cost increases. We continue to believe that these inflationary pressures are temporary. Just listen, just the transitory nonsense. But anyway, and that they will ease with time. But predicting how long that will take is proving extremely challenging. Saying that, yeah, it's all going to end soon, don't worry. Yeah, the increases might stop. But those increases are extreme. They're extreme. This is food prices having continued to soar in Canada, even as the overall inflation rate, think about that, overall inflation rate, the number they give us, begins to ease. The cost of food purchased from grocery stores increased 11.4% in January. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? It just shows us with fresh vegetables up 14.7%. Lettuce prices soaring 35%. These things actually have a material impact on people. So what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to just sit here and just say, well, you know what? Everything's going to be A-okay. Government said it's only temporary. We can measure inflation in different ways, and we can look at what's happening in the markets that tell a story. This happens to be the 6-month treasury. Previously, this was zero. You were getting nothing from this, okay? Now you're getting 5.1%. That is a telltale sign that we are heading into tough times. This is the same in the US, in Europe, in Canada, and everywhere else. They're all basically in the same direction. But 5.1% is suddenly making these sovereign bonds attractive. 1 in 6 retirees are mulling a return to work, what to consider before unretiring. This is a trend. This is a trend that we're noticing now, that people who thought they could retire have to go back to work. Some love to work. That's great. But a lot of people, they were retired. They didn't want to go to work. That's why they retired in the first place. But they have to because maybe their 401k took a hit. Maybe they just don't have the income they did before because of various factors, or can't keep up with the inflation. Now they're going back to work. And so this is what we're noticing, a trend that has picked up. And it gives you a little bit of evidence as to what's happening with rising prices. What can you do about it? Well, there's a few things. We'll talk about that more in a second here. Colossal tidal wave of new container ships about to strike. Order book, sword of Damocles will soon hit the container market. Here comes an unprecedented flood of new container ships is about to enter service. The pace of deliveries will pick up in earnest next month. Surge much higher in the second quarter, go higher in the second half through 24 and 2025. Okay? So essentially, this is going to, what was needed in 2020 is now coming on board 2023. Like, that's how crazy this is, okay? So what does that mean? Well, there's going to be a lot of supply, and hopefully will push down the prices of shipping. But when it goes too low, they don't use as many ships. They say, okay, well, we're not going to use those ships. And then that kind of pushes the price back up. It's a supply and demand thing. So I'm interested to see what happens, but I can tell you that this would be positive because there was such shortage. There wasn't enough ships. There wasn't enough containers. There wasn't enough room at the dock. There was nothing. Not enough workers, by the way, at the docks. I mean, every possible element of logistics, the entire chain was bad. It was just bad all around. Now a lot of that has reversed in the opposite direction. That's a positive thing. When we look at energy prices, this happens to be just one, natural gas, Netherlands specifically, it has come down to approximately 13. Now, for the US, you can, and this is in US dollar, by the way, priced in US dollar. For the US, it's like at about $2. So it's still 6 times greater. Okay, so they're paying a lot, but it's come down way, way down from this craziness that was in 21 and 22. So this is great. It's great news. We're seeing some elements that have come down, and my hope is that that trend continues to go back to the historical average, which is, I don't know, let's just say between that range, let's say $5. Okay, great. So they're paying more than what the US would, but it's still reasonable. Businesses can stay open and you don't have to worry. And then we have this. Supply squeeze sparks 122% rally in little known metal market. Let me try and pronounce this here. Molybdenum concentrate prices have doubled in the past year. For Freeport, a $5 change in moly means $375 million in cash. This is a copper byproduct. And so for some people, when I look at this, people are, want to take advantage of it. That's something else. Hard to do so in many of these things. Like, you don't know what's going to happen before it happens. How could you ever do so? I talked a lot about basically investments. In the video prior to this one, which didn't get many views, I talk about it. What do I invest in when there's inflation? A couple things I was saying was, let's say the treasury at 5%. That's something that some people right now are investing in. Other people are putting their money in money market. Why money market? It's because they don't want to lose money. I talked about e-commerce businesses. I talked about other things as well. So in that video prior to this one, you can get more details on that. But I think it's important that people take the time to actually look at their portfolio and make changes accordingly. If it's not going to, keep up with inflation, well, why is your money in that? Is it long term? I mean, how long? It's been in there a few years. Is it going to get any better? Brazil suspends beef exports to China after mad cow case. It's important to note that Brazil is the world's biggest beef exporter, and so doing this puts an impact on Brazil as well as China. Now, China might have to go out there and seek, another partner, demand where they're going to get it from. Are they going to go to Argentina? Are they going to go elsewhere to get what they need? If this is something and it becomes a widespread issue. So I'm just showing you many different aspects of where the inflation is coming from. And this is just one thing that I wanted to mention real quick. It's estimated number of refugees from Ukraine recorded in Europe and Asia since February 22. Brand new numbers. And at the top of the list, Russia, then Poland, then Germany. Okay, so we have millions of people displaced here. And this is, of course, I look at the economic aspects of this. And this will have a material impact on many people because that requires a lot of cash, a lot of funding, taxpayer dollars that are being used. This is, this whole mess is something that we did not need. Okay, and really, over the last year, we've seen prices increase. Over the last 3 years, we've seen prices increase. We need prices to go down. That's why I try to highlight the positives. I try to show you what's happening, and I try to give you from all different angles where the governments are spending the money, where they're pulling their money from. It doesn't look like so good for infrastructure, let me tell you. And of course, central banks are not tight enough on their policies to actually bring inflation down. So that's where we are at today. Don't forget to check out the video prior to this one where I talked about different investment strategies and so on. I hope you appreciate this information. As always, hit that subscribe button down below so you can get daily information related to financial education, investing, what's happening with the economy, and so on. I'll see you there tomorrow. Take care.